Study about the people of Africa, dig deep as much as possible, try to look into differences between each other and see how we can be of a help to bring a solution. Like I always used to tell people, what we do here is not to criticize anybody, but actually criticize and give a valuable reason. Give your own opinion why you think that what they are doing is not the best. So actually today we are going to look into something that has been for a very long time, which is the struggle of Biafra restoration. Biafra was once a country from 19, in fact, it has been a country on her own before the arrival of the colonial masters. But the colonial masters came and they divided Africa, as you and I know, and they merged Biafrans with other people known as Nigeria today. So in 1967, something happened. There was disagreement between the Biafran side and the Nigerian side. And Biafra declared a nation of her own. And Nigeria, with the support of foreign powers like USA, the UK, even the Russians. So Biafrans, Biafrans have done what I have never seen anybody do, because these guys went to war alone without any foreign support. But that's, by the way, what we are going to look into today is today as we speak, people are still agitating for the restoration of Biafra. So we are going to look into if the agitation worth it. Do you think that Biafra can actually be on her own? Or let me just phrase it this way. Do you think that the agitation of Biafra is right thing to do at this time?
At this time, in my own opinion,
Yeah.
in my own opinion about Biafra land, is that the possibility for Biafra to gain its own independence is something that I know people of Biafra might not feel comfortable with what I'm about to say, but that's uncomfortable truth that you have to face. I will ask almost every Biafran citizens about this question. I'm going to ask them this question.
Good.
If you have a partner and both of you people are together and your
Good.
partner is like very supportive towards you, if that partner, and you know one way or the other what that partner have, it can benefit the both of you people clearly.
Yeah.
And one day this partner decided, oh, I'm about to leave this relationship. Are you
Yeah.
going to allow that? Why you know you have the power to maintain that partner to be in that relationship? Are you just going to allow that partner to leave? When you think about it as a person, let us not be selfish. Let us reason with ourselves. The
Good.
possibility for us to allow that partner to live our life going to be very, very difficult. We will do everything for that partner to stay because that partner is very supportive towards us. That's the same way with Biafra and Nigeria. Biafra have a resources that is very important to the world. We can say other part of Nigeria have vast resources. But the resources that Biafra have now is very, very important to the world. And secondly, people can have that the Nigerian government can have that resources and make a lot of money from that resources. So it's just like your partner is bringing a lot of benefits to your life. You cannot leave a partner to go so easily. The truth is, we humans, we are selfish. So we cannot, you as a person will not allow it because of our selfishness and our greed that within us. So knowing that and fighting, and and your partner fighting to leave, where you know that your partner not have a power, any power to lead that relationship, you just be sitting there as a person, you just be laughing at your partner. You say, stop suffering yourself because once I'm not allowing you to leave, you can never leave. I have to allow you to leave before you leave. So I decide for you to stay in this relationship. That's my decision. So you tell your partner that even though your partner want to leave, but your partner know that's true. So if your partner keep fighting to leave that relationship, you are just going to sit down and just watch them do what they want to do. But you know that you have the power to stop them. So you are just going to allow them to keep fighting themselves, keep making themselves uncomfortable in that relationship. And as they keep making themselves uncomfortable in that relationship, that's the pain that will continue to be in them. It will always be in them. For that person to take time to accept reality, to say, oh, this is where I find myself. No matter how I fight at this time, it's not possible. Let me just relax myself and develop myself. One day, I can easily live without fighting. But
Okay.
in such a
I
relationship,
Go ahead. Just finish your point.
in such a relationship, when you keep fighting, you'll find out that you'll always be in that relationship, no matter what you do. So just feel comfortable, make yourself comfortable, and keep living your life and keep developing yourself. Maybe one day you can easily live without fighting.
All right. I think there is an important picture that we need to paint here, because if someone who doesn't have a vast knowledge about the struggle of Biafrans might not understand actually why do they want to leave. Because listening to you now, if not that I know the reality, I would have just say maybe because your story now looks like Nigeria as a government is selfish, right?
Sure,
Because
sure.
right? But
Yeah,
now the reality is this: the Biafrans do not want to go because they are the one who have what is benefiting the country. Not at all. Here is the bottom line. I don't want to start from the beginning of creation of Nigeria, but at least, and I don't want to even go ahead to start from. Okay, let's start from 1960 when Nigeria got her independence. I think it will be fair to start from there, right? Let's now look into the reasons why Biafra actually desire to be on her own. Biafrans, they are the one who struggle for Nigeria independence. Then some part of Nigeria who is now in charge of power, they are the ones who say that they are not ready to be free yet. They want the colonial masters to rule them. That they don't feel that they are qualified to rule themselves. And the Biafrans said to them, no, we can rule ourselves, right? So they
yeah,
were like, oh, if we leave the colonial regime now, the Biafrans are going to dominate us. Biafrans now say, okay, you know what? You can take the portion of being the prime minister, the head of the government, in order for you to feel comfortable that no one is coming to marginalize you. So now they were the ones who rule or control the government. The first prime minister was from them, right?
yeah,
Now, fast forward. As time goes on, Biafrans are majorly Christians and African traditional belief. And the other part is majorly Muslims.
yeah,
So now they started massacring Biafrans in their territory because the Biafrans refused to join Islam. You know the history of Islam in Africa, especially in Nigeria. You know Boko
yeah,
Haram, you know many other terrorist groups there.
yeah.
This is how all this started. This is what gave birth to them. So since then, they started marginalizing these guys, Biafrans,
Mhm.
destroying their properties, unaliving them in hundreds. And during the first Republic of Nigeria, they had what is called the regional government, the way it is today in UK, whereby Scotland formed their own government. So it was in Nigeria.
Mhm.
The Biafran part had their own head of government in their own region. But Nigeria now collectively had one prime minister, one military, and one economy. Just the way the UK is practicing today. That is how Nigeria started with, right?
Yeah.
So the way they were massacring the Biafran people, the leadership of the people of Biafra now ask the other side, who are these people killing my people? Who are they? And the other government said, we don't know, but we are going to investigate and fetch them out.
Mm.
So Biafra now have to go home and relax. It is then called Eastern Nigeria. They have to go home and wait for them to find out who are the people that is massacring their people. But at the end, the massacre didn't stop. And there was no answer to their request, to the Biafrans' request. And the massacre didn't stop. And the government in that side didn't do anything.
Mhm.
The way they are massacring the Biafrans is the same way they are destroying their property. This, what I'm saying now, is verifiable. It's not a story to blackmail anybody. It is very, very, very verifiable. Now, these actions continued. It didn't stop there. As it is happening, there was a massive corruption in the government. Elections are not well managed. There is a massive ringing, open ringing. Then, about 9 officers made up of Nigerians from both sides came together and they overthrew the current regime then, the current government then. But the most affected part was the Northerners. And the man, like the leader who led the coup, is Igbo man, grew up in the North, trained by the Northerners. But his nationality is Igbo, like his tribe is Igbo. But actually, all his life was in the North, right? Now, the coup happened, and after the coup, Igbo man became the first military head of state, known as Agui. So the other part of Nigeria retaliated by unaliving and destroying Igbo properties around the country. As they are doing this, they go ahead and unalive that military head of state that comes from Igbo extraction. And they unalived almost the whole Igbo officers in the army then. As many as they could catch, they unalived them. It's on news. What I'm telling you now is verifiable. Okay, now, the military head of state in the east have to call the general in command, the man who commands the whole Nigerian army and rule the whole Nigerian people, and say to him, this is what is happening in this country and this is not fair. Of course, you know about Aburi Accord in Ghana.
Yeah.
This is what gives birth to it. So they have to be invited by Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana to come and negotiate the future of Nigeria. The leader of the Igbos were there, the leader of the North were there, the leader of the West were there, with many other government officials, with records put down. Everyone knows that everything they are discussing is on record. The record wasn't a private stuff or a secret stuff, it was open stuff. So they went there, they brought down, everybody tabled their own request, and they negotiated it and they agreed upon it. Now, they came back to Nigeria to implement those things they agreed on. What did they agree on? We have to, when the military took over, they dissolved the regional government, right? So the number one request is to go back to that regional government. Number two request is that the North have to assure that Igbo property won't be tampered with again. and no Igbo man will be unalived again. These are the major requests on that record. So when the Nigerian part came back, they denounced all those things they agreed on. Right? They denounced it and said that they didn't agree on that. What happened? The colonial masters, right? They now have to inform Nigeria and tell them that this agreement won't be in your favor, but will be in the favor of the Biafrans. Why? Because when Nigeria were separate, ruling themselves region by region, there were prosperity in the land. And it was almost impossible then for the colonial masters to take the resources away. Right? So now the colonial master have to advise Nigeria to denounce those things. So Nigeria denounced it, and they broadcasted, they said another thing, which wasn't on the tape. The Biafran government have to say, no, this is not what we agreed on. And they had to release that tape to the public. You see? So this is where the whole saga started. From here, they refused to implement that. The Biafra now said, okay, if you don't want to assure us that the life of our people will be saved in your hand, and that you will not destroy our property again, then there is no need for us to be in this relationship. So Biafra now declare themselves self-government, and now Nigeria declared war on them. You see, if you go to that country, the war was fought for 3 years. Nigeria committed, what happened there is not war, but the genocide. Provable. What happened to the Biafran people has never happened to any race in the world. You know, whenever you talk about the Jews, we remember Holocaust, gas chamber, and all that. But what happened to the Biafrans is worse than gas chamber. All the borders was blocked. There were no food coming in. There were nothing coming in at all. Nothing. I mean, nothing was coming in. What the Biafrans used to fight during the war was produced, manufactured by them. Verifiable. So what Nigeria did to them is actually starve them to death. If you come to Biafran land, the pictures, the videos are still circulating online today. I don't know if you're familiar with the name Kwashoko. A starving child. A starving child with big stomach, with bone, no skin, no flesh. This is what they did to these people. So the argument of Biafran has been, okay, since then, Nigeria abandoned the East for over 60 years now. More than 60 years. Or if not, 1967, 1960, 1970 to now is almost more than 60 to 70 years, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, the argument of Biafrans is not actually that they want to live. But the basic argument is, we want A, B, C to be treated equal. You are taking what is feeding the nation from my pocket, but there is no presence of the government in my life. The water whereby you are drilling the oil from, the people in that community does not have drinking water anymore. They cannot fish anymore. Nothing is done to them to compensate them. But the goods that are in your own region, you mine them, sell it, and divide it among yourselves. It was never, no profit has been ever recorded that this money comes from the gold that was mined in the other part of the country. So there is a lot of injustice against the Biafra. I can go on and on and on and on and on and on. But I just want to paint it for our viewers' understanding, and perhaps to you, maybe there is something you've heard now that you don't know before. You know. Now, my question is, if you find yourself, Ed, Mr. Ed, if you find yourself in this situation, what would be your reaction? Assume that you are Igbo and you've seen what is happening. day in, day and night. Even do you know the worst thing, Mr. Ed? Do you know that after the war, Nigerian government declared no victory, no vanquish. There is something they call 3 R's, which is reconciliation, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. So they said we are going to rebuild, because actually all the building in the east, if you look at Gaza today, Gaza is a New York compared to what happened to Biafrans. Every standing building was pulled down. Every standing building, all the market was destroyed. All, I didn't say one, all of them, all the standing building. After the war, our people started living with wounding. That is, oh, I don't know how to describe it. It's very sad. But the fact is, after the war, Igbo billionaires, do you know how much they were giving back? They gave each person, even if you had 20 billion in your account before, what they will give you is 20 pounds. 20 pounds today is like $20. No, even not up to $20 because pounds is above dollar now. Maybe $19. That is what was given to a billionaire. I can go on and tell you a lot of injustice. Even during COVID of yesterday, do you know that American UN gave money to Nigerian government to support them, but they excluded Igbos, saying that, oh, Igbos has money, they don't need money, they have to give it to the other people, that they are the ones who are poor. Do you see? So if you are these people, if you find yourself in this situation, what will be your reaction?
You know, I understand the feelings of the Biafra people. I understand how they feel. I understand they feel hurt. They feel like they have been treated as nobody in this world by the Nigerian government. I understand how they feel. People feel hurt. People put their emotions in front. Yeah, they have. There's a term. Sometimes there's a term they have collateral damage. So someone in politics, when like for example, when a government is losing at a certain point, they don't care. They just want to come back on track and they want to do everything in their own power. There will be collateral damage. And when you put yourself in front as a collateral damage, you are going to be a collateral damage, no matter how you feel. I understand you guys feel hurt, but that's why we call history. History is about studying the past, understanding the past, and try to make the future better. But history is not about studying the past, holding on to the past. As long as the people of Biafra continuously to hold on to the past, that's how they are going to continuously to suffer. So they should forget about what happened in the past, even though they know what happened in the past and they understand what happened in the past. But they should let go of those things that happened in the past and try to build the future. How? You study other people's history. You study how other people developed. Like for example, there's the Latter Day Saints. They do it in Utah today. Those people was fight at that time. Utah was not in existence when the Latter Day Saints first they settled in our first settlement because they were mistreated by the American government, so they have to move to another settlement closer to Mexico. So they moved there. When they moved there, even though they take all of their homes, everything was taken from them by the American government. On the other side, they have to flee to another place. The people let go and they decided to rebuild settlement, and they become one of the faster developing settlement in the U.S. Comparing to the world, they were one of the when you could compare it to country, small group of people, they become one of the faster developing people. They open their own companies, they open their own factories, they open different things within their settlement, bring their people together, make their people to work. Their people don't have to leave from their particular settlement to move to another settlement to work because they have already created all of the work they needed to do right there. So in the end, the American government have to come to table with them to negotiate. And the American government couldn't get rid of those people easily because those people they needed those people in society. They needed them because they were people who understand, who had a mindset of development. They were building themselves every day. So they become so much more important in the society. So comparing to Biafra land today, the Biafrans are fighting for their independence. They are fighting for their independence, but yet and still they are scattered all around the world. They are scattered all around Nigeria. They have other things in Nigeria. For example, if I have my company in the north and I go to support Biafra land, and I go to support Biafra land, say we should gain our independence, then someone from the north or someone from the government who from the north say, if you support that government, we are going to get rid of your company. Do you think, do you really think I will be able to support my people? I will only come to my people and just say, yeah, we need to gain our independence, but there is nothing I can do. You're the common people from that land. You're the common people and the poor people. That's your fight. But for the people who have the money, it's not their fight. The day you understand, when you are poor, that's the time you have hate. That's the time you have discrimination. That's the time you think that people hate you because you can't afford. But when you can afford, the president will sit down with you on table and shake your hand and respect you because you have something to bring to the table. But as a common man who fighting for the independence of Biafra, what can you bring to the table? Where the respect you have earned? As a common man who's fighting for the independence of Biafra, people will just look at you like that person is out of their mind. That person. Why? If you not notice, the people who have most of the people who have money in Nigeria, they are from Biafra land. They have good money, really good money. What those people decide to put themselves together, decide to open companies and things in that particular land, bring their people together, rebuild their society, build a security. Don't you think the Nigerian government will come and sit with you on table to negotiate? Okay, let's take for example, small country, a small country like France, eh? A small country like France can fight Nigeria and defeat Nigeria in less than 3 to 4 months. Do you know why? Because they have money, they have developed themselves, they have built their army, So no matter what happens, when it going to negotiate with country the United States, country places like the UK, they are going to go as peers, as equal. But you haven't developed yourself yet. You only have resources. You only have resources that are within the soil. They are mining, and people have power. Or the Nigerian government have power to control that resources. The question is, what have you done to develop yourself to sit on table to negotiate with those people?
All right, good. Thank you for the nice analysis. I must say that I must acknowledge that you have point, which is very, very acceptable. But I would like to tell you something. History is acceptable, but only when the history changed for good. You made a point telling me that Biafrans should forget about yesterday and forge ahead. But I agree with you. Every country has history. Even Liberia, where you come from, there is a history of that part of the world that is so ugly, you know. But the people have to say, okay, you know what, this should be our history. Even where we are today, they have their own history, and they are still working to make it better every day, right? But the good thing is this: if a history continue to repeat itself without any plan to change, it becomes almost impossible for the people to heal. Do you understand my point?
The reason why history will continue like that or things will continue like that, when you present yourself as a threat, people will always treat you like a threat. So
No,
many
Ed,
people.
listen. The situation in that part of the world, there is always mistakes in many ways. Like there is a point you made, which is you said, "Do I think that Igbo billionaire who has business in the north would come and support the struggle?" The answer is big capital no. Even a billionaire who has all his investment in the east is not likely to support the struggle. You know why? Because the government, you know, position of government is actually like the position of God. The government, what we are struggling for actually is not to be called Biafrans, have our own country, but we want a government that actually values life, number one. Number two, that actually values prosperity. Because if we have a government that respects life, that is when you will see that human life will be protected and respected. You know the saga ongoing now in US and also in Nigeria, which is names allegedly to be supporters or the founders of Boko Haram are the past government and the sitting government. Buhari, the former president, is a suspect to that. The current vice president of Nigeria today, Kashim Shetima, is a big suspect too. So when you look at these scenarios, you've got to understand that the people you are dealing with are not people who actually respect human life. These are people who is ready to take and use all means to do things. So those billionaires, even the struggle of Biafra today, there is no one who is rich among those guys that are struggling for it. It is the work of ordinary people. That is why it's still hanging. Because the ordinary people are the people who is suffering the effect. Let me be honest with you, Mr. Ed. You know, like where we are, or if you look at the Western world, you hear people talk about racism, right?
Yeah.
Racism is just experience of the poor people. The rich ones, the rich black guys, they don't actually experience it. Because every deal they are going into is maybe they are the one purchasing, or maybe someone is purchasing from them. So if they are purchasing from you, you won't show them racist. Or if you come to purchase from them, you will never show them racist. But because the poor are the people who are looking for a means to eat their daily meal. So you got to face a lot of things along the line. That is why racism is commonly a poor man's thing. Right? So now what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say is that the billionaires will never protect the masses. They will always protect their wealth. Likewise, a politician will never protect the interests of the people, but he is always looking at the next election and what he want to be or what she want to be. So as it is now, the suffering in Nigeria has made it almost impossible for ordinary Biafrans to survive. Example, if anything happened in Lagos today,
Mm.
they will target Igbo thing, and next morning they will be destroying Igbo business. This business they are destroying is average people,
Yeah. Sure.
and government will never compensate anybody. And these things, the reason why they are destroying it was not caused by the Biafrans. So if you look at the stagnation and the inhuman treatment is too much. and the pain is too much on the people. That is why you would go out now and tell somebody we need to fight for Biafra to be restored, and the person will leave his business and follow you, because these guys are in a situation whereby if we stay where we are, they will still unalive us. If we move forward, they might unalive us or we succeed. So if you look at the two scenarios, you see that the best option is to move forward, which has two uh, 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 expectation: success or lose. But if you stand where you are, you have only one expectation: waiting for the day you'll be unalived. So do you see why the idea looks so important and acceptable by the people?
Yeah.
Take for instance, if you go to Canada today, if you know Canada history, you know that there is a French territory in Canada where French people are staying in Canada. There is cities in Canada that speaks French.
Mm.
There is also city in Canada that speak English. There is city in Canada that speak indigenous language, the people that originally owned the land before these two guys came. So
Mm.
they live side by side. They respect their, they understand they are different. They accept it and they respect it. And you see Canada is prospering.
Sure.
Now, the argument in Nigeria is not that Biafra doesn't really want to go. Let me be honest with you. If Nigeria remain one and a country where justice and equal rights exist, I will tell you Biafrans will benefit more because they are more in the market. In fact, the market is their thing. So they are the ones who will enjoy the large economy, right? So last week, General IBB Babangida, chief of Nigerian Army Staff, that is the former head of state under military regime,
Mm.
came out to say to the country, these things you are doing to these guys, calling them names, is not actually the truth. The coup that happened, they said, oh, it is the Igbos that caused it. He bring out the reality. He says, I am general during then. I know better than you. And before he said it, he gathered all the former head of state, all the former generals of their regime, the former head of state, Gowan, who declared war on Biafrans, the Obasanjo, the former head of state under military regime, and also former executive president of Nigeria. He was there. Current president of Nigeria, Tinubu, was there. Buhari, the recent former president, was invited, but he wasn't there. He sent someone to represent him. A lot of prominent Nigerians were there who knows history. And he made it public. He wrote a book, he's on it. He said, no, the coup that happened is not actually the Igbo coup, but it was young officers seeking to bring the country to a stable situation, to stop the corruption, to see a prosperous Nigeria, right? If Nigeria would have implemented the 3 R's they promised to do, which is reconstruction, rehabilitation, and what again? Whatever they call it, which none of these things was done. So if you look at the mind of every Biafran, all what they want is a country where equal rights is accepted, where human life is respected. And as I speak to you today, if you see what is happening in that country, you won't believe it. Half of what is happening in that country is not reported on any national television. Because if they report everything, my brother, no human being will cross that part of the world again. I am being honest with you. So these are the things where Igbos are fighting to stop. Igbos are business-minded people. Every businessman wants a good and secured environment because of his or her business, right?
Sure.
So actually, Igbo doesn't want any problem in that part of the world. But the challenge they are facing is this jihadist stuff. I didn't tell you more about jihadis because if I go into that, you might say maybe these have turned to religious battle, right? That's why I focus more on government character towards the people. So it was to bring their investment home. I think that point is a very sharp one. But unit, unit is one powerful thing that can take community or individual person to a higher level. But it is not easy to achieve. And always the government will do everything possible to stop that ideology to manifest. But things are changing now. I promise you that things are changing. A lot is happening. A lot of things are changing, which is very welcoming. And almost it rhymes with your opinion now. Okay, now I would like to share with you something. In 1993, there was election in Nigeria. The military is still ruling Nigeria then, but they promised to allow civilian election to take place, and they promised to hand over power to whosoever win the election. And the election was conducted. According to the history records that that election was one of the only free and fair election ever conducted in Nigeria since Nigerian history. But this is what happened. After the election was conducted, somebody won. Abiola won the election. But the army in charge of power then denounced the result and refused Abiola to take over power. They didn't even accept that he won the election to begin with. Now, few weeks ago, last week, the then head of state, IBB, came out, gathered all these politicians that I have mentioned, and declared to the nation, asked for forgiveness, saying that yes, 1993 election was won by a so person, but I used my power as head of state to change the result and do a lot of things. He asked to the people to forgive him. But still don't forget, a lot of lives was unalived. Even the man who won the election, they unalived him. They unalived his wife and a lot of other citizens. So what do you think that the nation should do to such a man now? Do you think he should be forgiven, or do you think that he has to be charged for perhaps murder or whatever? I can't hear you, eh?
Like I said,
Yeah.
sometimes we, even though we should look at our pain, but we should learn how to look at other people' pain. Put
Yes.
ourselves in situation like other people.
Yeah.
Try to handle issues like when you are when you are on the opposite team. For example,
Yes.
when you go to a negotiation table, if
Mm-hmm.
you have the intention of winning that negotiation,
Yeah.
there's a possibility that you are going to lose. Even if you have if you are going for a negotiation and you decide to negotiate 50-50,
Yeah.
there's a possibility you will not have what you go to negotiate for. On a negotiation table, you should try to understand the next person needs and the next person wants. So try to understand the person you are negotiating with. Try to understand what they really want and why they want that identical thing they want. So we should try to understand them. If we can understand if we can understand our opponent, then we can come to terms with ourselves. For example, what happened in Japan when the US bombed Japan 2 times? Today, With all of the chaos the US caused in Japan, Japan is still working with the US.
They do.
Japan still working with the US. Japan let go and Japan developed since that time because Japan understand and Japan went to the negotiation table and they tried to understand why the opponent won, why the US won. And they decided to come to terms with that. And they decided to negotiate. But because we Africans as a whole, we are not good at negotiation. We are this is why when I'm talking, I always talk about greed because our major problem in Africa is greed, is how greedy we are. Because our greed is so high, so it covers our sense of reasoning, our sense of judgment. Like you just look at the other person and tell it, you did this to me. This is what you do to me. You hurt me. You do this. Have you said one day to sit down and ask yourself, how is my actions hurting this person? Have you sit and asked yourself that? How am I important to this person that this person can let me go? How can I sit and negotiate with this person and try to understand this person for two of us to come to a term? Have you sit one day and ask yourself about that? No, you haven't. You know why? That's a mini maximum is going off.
Ah.
You know why? You know the reason why we haven't sit and thought about that? Because we are greedy. We are selfish. That's one of the major issues I have seen with people of our color, blacks. We are greedy not just to other people, but to our very own selves. That's why we'll continue to struggle. That's why we never know where we are going. We never know because we are greedy. I understand. This is why I told you I understand the people. I understand the Biafran's pain. But have you guys sit down to try to understand Nigeria as a whole, the central government as a whole? Have you tried to sit down and understand what those people want?
The
So
reality is okay. Go ahead.
the reality is we always looking at our pain, not the next person, not the next person. This is why I told you previously. The best people to answer all of the questions you are asking me today is the people who's running the state of Biafra. Are you guys really want us to take control of our territory, of our resources? Have you sit and discuss with your leader to understand your leader? Because anything who want a Kanu or not a Kanu, he went to prison, right? But he's still in prison. Your leadership have the ability to go on table to negotiate for him to come out of prison. The people who gets the money, who owns the money in your land, who running the resources. There's a old saying: if your house, the house you in, if it not sell you out, the street will not buy you. I understand this, and I understand it from the American government. When the
You
American
correct. We know. No,
when
we
the,
know who is who.
when the American government ready to destroy you, they will not just come; they just be fighting, but they will send agent to your country to negotiate with certain people. People who have the power, they will negotiate with them. Once they come to turn, certain people, once they come to turn, they know those people will give them the in and out of the country. And then the American can go ahead and invade. They will not just come in, they just start bombing you. No, they can't just do it. Because that particular place having sell someone from there, yeah, or having sell their house to another person, so the street can easily buy everyone in our house or their house. So your people, this is why I told you, the common people, the poor people, the poor people. Do you know the definition? Do you know the meaning of poor?
Go ahead.
Passing over opportunity repeatedly.
And that's the fact. That's the best definition.
Because the reason why I define poor in that way is they find you a fake as a poor man to be fighting for the state of Biafra or to be fighting. You should be making money at that time. Because with money,
Mr. Ed.
yeah.
You know one thing?
No.
There is what I believe.
Yeah.
In our place, we used to say, it means that we want to use it because people are going to be unalived and they refuse to go and fight for what really belongs to us. Even during the struggle, during when Africa was struggling for independence, right?
Mm.
People were saying the same thing you were saying now. Oh, we are not ready. Oh, we cannot achieve it. But we know where we are now. Even though practically we are not independent yet. We know. You and I know. Right? But the bottom line is this. All what you're saying, you are making point. But we all do not have to fold our hands. What is there is that everybody have to contribute as much as they can. And the struggle actually does not prevent anybody from fighting for his or for her future. Like, example, even those at home doing it, these guys are doing business, being very successful. In fact, more successful than we in overseas, right? We that are here, we are also struggling, working hard as much as possible, right? So it's not advisable for all to fold hands because it looks impossible. In clear term, in layman understanding, it seems to be impossible. But in general understanding and reality, if you look at United Nations Charter, it actually said that any group of people have the right to ask for referendum to be conducted, which is what the Biafrans are struggling for. Biafra actually didn't say, oh, we are going to fight you if you don't allow us. No, this is what they are asking for. They said, like the man Namdi Kanu faction leadership of Biafra, he is telling you that he wants a referendum where Biafrans will come. United Nations will be there, US will be there, any other interesting party will be there, and free and fair referendum will be conducted. I believe that over 70 million people have the right of self-determination. Biafrans are more than 70 million. So they have the right to actually decide where they want to be, if we have to be fair to all. So you cannot tell me that over 70 million people has no right to determine their own future. That will be unjust.
Sure.
Even in African Union law, there is it is boldly written there that every individual have the right of referendum. Through referendum, UK came out of EU. Scotland has been given the right to conduct a referendum inside the UK more than 2 times. You are aware of it. And they failed to secure majority votes to leave. That's why they are still part of the UK today. But the problem we have in Africa is that human right is not there.
Oh,
There is no respect for humanity. And this is the main reason why the Biafrans are struggling to be on their own. Because in Biafra land, life is more expensive than anything. Number one abomination is attempt to take a human life. And in Biafra land, we believe that as I am now, I belong to the entire community. So even my parents do not have the right to mistreat me. The community will react against my own parents. But other people, they don't give life much respect. So there is a lot of conflict, and the conflict is all about in understanding of people. You don't respect this, I respect it.
sure.
So the Biafrans are actually fighting for a thriving community. They want to create what is known as thriving community where human rights will be respected. In Nigeria today, Nigeria does not obey her own court. You appointed the judge, you pay the judge, but if they judge anything against the government doesn't obey it. I don't think anybody would like to be in such society. So this is where idea of poor man struggling to be free and you advising the poor man, oh, you cannot achieve this. This is where they will disagree with you, because the only option left is to struggle to achieve it. Because if you don't struggle to achieve it and stay, they will stay unalive you. But if you struggle to achieve it, two things are involved. If God have mercy on you, one day you'll be liberated. And maybe perhaps along the line, one or two people might be unalived, which we don't know who will be and who will not. Right? But everything everybody do, it is best advised to be mindful of your own life. Because that is the only thing that is your first responsibility. You are struggling, you are talking, you are doing this and that is because you are still living in the land of the living. Right. So yeah, so it has not been very fair to the Biafrans since the creation of Nigeria. And I don't blame the North. You know why? All these things is UK planned agenda. And it is working for them so well. Very perfect.
This is
Very
what this is what I told you. You said you can tell the next person stop fighting, go and sit down. Go and sit down and keep quiet. Because the reason why I'm not telling you I'm not telling you to stop. I'm not telling the poor man or anybody to stop fighting. But one day sit down and ask yourself, I have been traveling. I have been traveling since I was young. My parents were using this journey since they were young. But my parents didn't succeed. And I'm still traveling the same road. But I can't get to my destination. I should sit down and think that maybe this destination I'm on is a round road that I'm just going around in circle. I need to stand and I need to break the cycle. I need to break the cycle, which means I need to take another path. I need to try another path. This is why different ideas comes together. Okay, the first person that was fighting for referendum, they are in person. And up to now, no referendum, and you are still fighting. One day come to turn with yourself to say, oh, this is not working this way. How can it work next? The solution, the difference between a common man, the difference between a poor man and a rich man is the rich man finds solutions, answers. He asks every necessary question and he tries to find the answers. But the poor man or the common man never ask questions. They just think what they are doing, that's the solution. Like for example, since we've been growing up, our parents been like The bird climbing on the tree to like and to harvest wine, right? Since we've been growing up and we've been seeing that, right?
Yes.
Up to now, after close to 100 years, our parents are still climbing up and still harvesting that wine because they feel what I'm doing is the answers, is the only answers. But go to foreign land. If they were in that situation, they have changed that situation around. That they not have to always take risks to always climb that tree.
Work of research.
So it's not just a work of research. It's a question they ask. So many questions, and they find the answers to them. But
That's where research
what
comes in.
what I observe from the Biafrans, they only ask themselves one question, and they think that the one answer they are giving is the only answers. It's the only answers. This is what I'm saying. Sometimes the best answer is never to try. Just stop trying. Sometimes the best thing to do is not to try. Just let it be. Eventually, things will come to place. But the more you present yourself as a threat to another person, they are going to treat you as a threat. They are going to treat you as a threat. And everyone want to get rid of that threat. So to
Uh,
every action, there's an opposite reactions to that. So for every action you are taking against another person, you should know that there will be opposite reaction. So when you decide to meet that guy on the road to just fight him, maybe you take left, stab him somewhere on his shoulder or on his arm or in his skin, and that guy go and treat his wound. Do you know what will happen? Hmm? That guy will definitely come back for you. And when he come back for you, he's going to be prepared. So when you are fighting your enemy, if you don't have the opportunity to eliminate, to get rid of your enemy, to destroy them, it's better you don't fight. Because the
all
more
right.
you fight the Nigerian government, point is the more you fight the Nigerian government, the more they will prepare themselves, they will build themselves to come against you. So that's why I'm saying stop fighting, go and develop yourself. Maybe the answer will eventually comes to you.
Okay. Very good. I think listening to you, I've been meditating on some things you've said here. But I would like to ask you a question. Maybe we end with this. If you are to be hired, perhaps, as an advisor to one of these champions of Biafran struggle, what would be your best advice to them?
My best advice to them, I would tell them the best way to carry on revenge. The best way to carry on revenge is to develop yourself. My best advice I would give them is we should all retreat. We should all go silent. No more fighting for Biafra is okay. Let us develop ourselves. But no, when the right time comes, we are going to grab that opportunity. Reminding continuously to remind your people that if the right time comes, I might not live to see that day. But if I live to see that day, well, that's fine. But you should, if I'm not there, you should hold on to that opportunity and never you let it go. Never you do it. So that's why I would tell my people because you have been fighting for so long and there is no results. Don't you think it's time that we come back to our we come back to our drawing board and say we are all tired. Let us all go home and rest and see what tomorrow will bring. Because the truth is, we are not in a position to fight these people at this time. We are not. So, for example, all African countries that think they could gain independence from the Europeans at that time, they want to gain fast independence. Almost all African countries. Ask yourself the question, where are they now? How developed they are? Have you said to think about it?
Failure.
Failure. Good. I hope you get that and you understand it well. Failure. Because the reason why I'm telling you like this is because if the child is not well developed and the child decide to leave their parents to go out, that child, the possibility for that child to succeed, slim. It's just that you don't give any education. And
I will liken this your story to history of Korea and Japan.
and
You know, Japan actually did a lot of unacceptable things to Korea, but Korea didn't make a request of many things that they should make a request of until when they have finally built up themselves to be men. But regularly they keep reminding their people, even going ahead to make the statue of those images to remind their people. You know, they put all those images in a museum where the children go there to study. Schools take them there to teach them a lot of things. But the difference here is that difference fall in different situations. But I think in whichever situation it is, the best thing to do at this point is to redraw the map. In my opinion, I agree with them in some parts and I still disagree in some parts. My opinion has been very straight. Like if you look, like as I told you about the history of the war, right? These are guys who went to fight the entire world. That is what it is. Russia was on the side of Nigeria. USA was on the side of Nigeria. UK was on the side of Nigeria. No one was on the side of Biafra. The countries that supported Biafra was like people like Haiti, Equatorial Guinea. French wanted to support Biafra, but that was at the end. But when they realized that they won't get what they want, even after the struggle, they withdraw. So Biafra was on her own. Israel at that time was at war. And any issue that America condemned, Israel cannot come out openly to oppose, to support it. Yes, there were a little support, at least in wars from Israel, but that didn't transfer to material support and many other things because America was not in support of the Biafran struggle at the moment, at the time. So the big challenge the Biafrans has been having is inability to secure at least a single superpower on their side. You know, that's where I think they have to go back to the drawing table to know exactly what is the cause and how they can get this done. You know, yeah, but it's a bit complicating and difficult for them because actually the money bags are not in support of the move. The people in support of the move are just ordinary people who know little or who has little or no money to influence people that will present their case to those higher tables. Nigerian government have more money than them and they will always go ahead to do what? To buy those people, which is what is happening. We know the game. But anyway, Mr. Ed, I must say that this video I will try to do much as possible to make sure that it will go viral because somebody need to listen to it and at least have to rethink about a lot of things. That's why I said we criticize, but at the end of the criticism, we must bring out a valid point that someone will listen to and say, okay, you know what? I think what this guy is saying is good. He criticized, but his suggestion is actually good if it can be implemented. That is not to force our opinion on anybody, but at least to let them know this is what we think. You know, yeah, I must say very, very much thank you. I appreciate your time, and hopefully we will meet again. Do you have anything to say as we round up?
Uh, I just, that's okay. I hope we still meet again. But to the people of Biafra, I understand your struggle. I feel hurt. And honestly, I always stand for people who are marginalized. I always stand for them. But the question is, what can we do to someone who is in a position of destroying us? Is to just to accept our fate and develop ourselves before we stand for another battle with that person. Until then, we should stay silent, develop ourselves, so that when the day comes, we can take our positions in life. So that's all I have to say.
Very big thank you. That's a powerful message. Thanks for the time, and also thanks for the recommendation, the advice, and the support. I must assure you that Biafrans will appreciate your advice, and they will send a lot of love to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
See you next time.
Okay.